Hi everyone. I hope you enjoyed learning about the respiratory system. So let's go over these answers. And the first question asks about rescue breathing and why you'd want to use it. Well, obviously, given the name, you'll want to save a life with it. The air that comes out of your body is actually 16% oxygen. So even though you're exhaling a lot of CO2, there's still a lot of oxygen left, and that's why you can save someone's life with your breath. All right, on to this page. So you just had to identify what the systems are doing. The circulatory system carries food from the digestive system, oxygen from the respiratory system to all the cells of the body. The respiratory system brings that oxygen into the body. It also will get rid of the CO2. And then the digestive system will break down food and absorb it, as we studied before. The new thing here is cellular respiration. That's what process the cells use to release the energy stored in food. More often it's glucose than anything else, and it needs oxygen to do so. All right, in this page down here, we have this beautiful picture of the cilia that line your throat, and they're designed to catch particles that shouldn't get into your lungs. So why does coughing protect the respiratory system? Well, when these little hairs detect dust and pollen and other things that shouldn't be there, they cause you to cough, and that forceful release of air from your body will send those particles that shouldn't be there out. What might happen if you did not have hairs in your nose and cilia in your trachea? Okay, well, you're not going to be able to detect the particles that come into your body, and you're going to have to you're going to probably end up with a lot of particles deep in your lungs, and that's going to affect how you breathe. So I imagine there'll be difficulty with breathing. All right, the structures of the respiratory system in this beautiful picture. We can see that the nose is this opening that lets air in, and it moves down through the pharynx, which is your throat, a fancy word for the throat, and goes underneath the flap called the epiglottis, which prevents food from going down into your trachea. Your trachea is that passageway that sends air into the lungs and can cause coughing, which will help clear anything that gets into your respiratory system that shouldn't be there. And then let's move down to the bronchus. The bronchus are passageways that branch off from the trachea and go deep into the lungs. And the lungs are those organs that move the oxygen into the blood and remove carbon dioxide. It is also where alveoli are, and they are the site where the materials will move in and out of the blood. Down to the questions. Define what is cellular respiration. Well, that's that process by which cells use oxygen to release the energy in food. And how are breathing and cellular respiration different? Well, in breathing, we bring oxygen into the body and, well, air into the body, and we breathe air out, that carbon dioxide rich air out. While cellular respiration, as the name implies, occurs in the cells, and it is the process by which cells get their energy from food and oxygen. All right, so now you get it. Oxygen moves into the body, and the respiratory system moves oxygen into the body and removes CO2. The lungs and the structures leading to them make up the respiratory system. So, next page. All right, this is about how you breathe, the breathing process, and the expansion and contraction of the chest. So rib muscles, when they contract, they're going to cause that chest wall to go up and out. That's going to cause the chest to expand. Also causing the chest to expand is the diaphragm. So when it contracts, it flattens. You can see this little curve right here. That curve's going to go away when the diaphragm contracts, and that is going to expand the chest, which creates a negative pressure inside. The pressure outside is going to be greater. That's going to force air into the lungs. All right. Well, when the muscles relax, everything goes back. The chest contracts and the air goes out. Okay, breathing and speaking. There's this three-step process. First, the muscles that make the vocal cords contract. Okay, so when they get smaller, that opening gets narrower, and when air rushes past it, the vocal cords will vibrate, causing the air to vibrate, and that will make your voice. Down to the questions, where is the larynx located? It's at the top of the trachea, aka the windpipe. Explain when you inhale, why does air rush into your lungs? Well, as we said earlier, when the rib muscles and the diaphragm contract, that expands the chest and causes the air to come in, and that's inhaling. Okay, so now I know that when that I breathe when my muscles in my chest contract, causing my chest to expand, and I will inhale. When they relax, I exhale. Simple as that. What happens during gas exchange? Okay, so now we get into the cool stuff. We get a closer look at all these little pockets inside the lungs called alveoli. And this nice little diagram zoomed in shows that oxygen moves into the blood, CO2 moves out of the blood, and this occurs where the alveoli meet the capillaries. Okay, nicely drawn of these capillaries. You can see that they're colored red for when they have a lot of oxygen and colored blue for when they are oxygen poor. Okay. All right, vocabulary. So absorption is the noun for absorbing. And the sentence I came up with was the absorption of oxygen into the blood takes place in the alveoli. And this is really cool. I don't know if you thought about the math on this, but it says that the surface area inside your lungs is equivalent to a ball with a radius of 236 centimeters. Okay, so all the little pockets that you have inside your lungs that are stuffed inside there, little space, okay, represent the surface area that this ball would have. This ball is would be almost 16 feet in diameter. Picture that, a ball 16 feet in diameter. The distance from the free throw line to the basket in a basketball court, that's 15 feet. Okay, this is a massive amount of surface area all packed neatly inside your lungs. Okay, you can understand why they're so delicate, right, if there's that much surface area inside them. But that's all thanks to the alveoli, all right, all these little pockets. And finally, we get to explore the big picture, a breath of fresh air. How do you breathe? Okay, well, all these passageways, the nose, the pharynx, the trachea, and the bronchus will move air into the lungs. Eventually, they reach the pockets where, which are called alveoli, and they have thin walls, and they're going to let oxygen and oxygen and carbon dioxide move in and out. When you inhale and exhale, you're doing that because of the contraction and expansion or relaxation of the muscles that make up the chest. That includes the ribs and the diaphragm, that muscle at the very bottom. Okay, and we come to the last page. Here's a nice little Venn diagram comparing the alveolus and the capillary. All right, these two structures have thin walls. They are small. They exchange gases. The capillaries carry blood. They're going to move CO2 out, and they're going to get oxygen. All right, compared to the alveolus, which contain air, and they are moving CO2 in, taking CO2 in from the blood, and they're passing oxygen from the alveolus into the blood. How do the alveoli enable people to be very active? Okay, so we come back to surface area, that massive amount of surface area. Okay, please ignore that. My clothes are done. The massive amount of surface area allows more oxygen to enter the blood. The more active you are, the more oxygen you're going to need. And how do you breathe? Well, this is what I said. I breathe, and I misspelled that. Breathe should have an E at the end of it. I breathe when the muscles of the chest contract and relax. The structures of the respiratory system allow air to move into the body and be absorbed by the blood. Now I know that gas exchange, that during gas exchange, air enters the alveoli where oxygen gets absorbed and CO2 gets expelled. Okay, so that's it, guys. Those are the answers, and I hope you enjoyed that.